All right, this is APBC Calculus. We are doing midterm review, and this is multiple choice 12, which is the last of the non-calculator. So I am asked to do the integral of x secant squared x dx, and I'm hoping when you look at this, this screams parts, because I have a product, right, x times the secant squared, and they are unrelated functions. It's not like the x is conveniently the derivative of secant squared or anything else. So I'm hoping this screams parts to you. So when I look at this, right, remember we choose our u using Liat, right? So logs, there's not a log. Inverse trig, there's not inverse trig. Algebra, that means that in this case, my u is going to be the x. Well, that means that I can use the shortcut, right? Because x will eventually differentiate away, right? And the thing I'm integrating will be the secant squared. Well, when I integrate secant squared, I get tangent. And then this is probably the part where you're like, cool, Hogan, that's awesome, but then, like you're probably screaming, it's okay. Let's talk about what happens when you integrate tangent. If you integrate tangent, you can either memorize this integral, which I'm going to be honest, I do because it's useful, or you can recognize that it's essentially u sub, right? Your u is cosine, your du is therefore negative sine, right? And so basically you end up getting that this is the negative du over u integral. That means that this is a negative natural log of the absolute value of cosine, which is your u, plus c, right? And the plus c we'll deal with later. But this is a negative natural log of the absolute value of cosine. Sometimes the other way they show it to you to trick you is they bring this negative power up. Cosine to the negative first is a secant. So sometimes you'll see this as the natural log, right? So like this is just a little trick. Sometimes you'll see this as the natural log of the absolute value of secant if they want to be real jerks. So if you were like, oh, hey, that's rough, I wasn't going to get that, hopefully at least even without that last bit, you could get part of it right. You'd get that it should be an x tangent x. Well, that should tell you it's not this one. So that lets you cross this off. It should also tell you it's not this one, which crosses this off. So at the very least, you should have it narrowed down to 2. And then you should hopefully have the awareness. So like you know that it starts with x tangent x, which tells you it's either this, this, or this. And then hopefully you're like, oh, hey, even if I don't know what this is, it's a -1 times some mystery thing plus c, and hopefully that would make you cross off a. But in this case, right, the mystery thing, right, we know the mystery thing is a negative natural log of cosine, so I'm going to get x tangent x minus a -1, which would be plus natural log of the absolute value of cosine x plus c, which is how we get answer E. And that's it. But again, hopefully you'd be able to narrow it down to either D or E just based on the fact that you know it should be x tangent x and based on the fact that you know there should be another term after x tangent x. Even if you don't know what that other term is, it would rule out answer A.